Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy from D20 Adventure Realm. If you want to check out some really cool RPG videos, hit like, subscribe, maybe comment, see which ones you like, and that way we can give you more of that. Thanks. Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here at TableTop Takeovers. We're going to be starting a new segment tonight called Edge of the Drift. My name is Jeremy, and I am joined by some of my friends that we play games with. Frankie, if you want to lead us off.
Yeah, sure. I'm Frankie Stefano with One Up to Nerd.
I'm Tim Nunag from Tabletop Takeovers.
I'm Jordan Swanson with One Up to Nerd.
And I'm Dave.
Welcome. So, as I said, we're starting a new series called Edge of the Drift, and tonight we are going to be playing a new game in order to kind of create the sequel, or the prequel to the RPGs that we're going to be playing later. We're going to be using a game called Microscope. It's an RPG, a storytelling RPG. There's no dice involved. A storytelling RPG by Ben Robbins. A fractal role-playing game of epic histories. And so we're going to be this is the first time that we've played it before. We kind of went over the rules and everything. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. We're not going to go through the rules at this time. Hopefully you'll pick up on it. It's not a very difficult game to learn. There's only a few different things that are happening. The biggest thing to keep in mind is that we have a lens that is going to be kind of leading the creation of this history, and then we are going to spend that time taking turns creating periods within that history, events within those periods, and scenes within those events.
I'll say that one more time. I'd like just to be clear.
Okay.
So we're going to be creating first
periods.
Yep.
I am going to, in the book, it's normally a collaborative effort, but because we're going to be using this specifically for other RPGs to play in, I am going to be creating the bookend periods, so the outermost limits of this history that we're creating, so the beginning and the end.
The timeline.
Yep.
Okay.
And then within that, we're going to be taking turns creating periods.
Zoom in from periods to scenes.
To events.
Events.
Mm-hmm. So events within those periods.
Okay.
Periods are very large pieces of time within that. Events are smaller pieces of time. And then within those events, we're going to explore scenes. So very specific pinpoint things within those events.
It's like we're using a microscope.
It is. We're kind of like cranking up the
Wow.
magnification to get closer and closer and closer. And the idea that it's a fractal game is because technically we can divide time up limitlessly, and every time that we zoom in, we're kind of expanding it again and again and repeating that process. So it all kind of looks the same. So I am now going to let everybody know what the bookends are. This is something that I've kept to myself up until this moment. So here we go. So the bookends. The first bookend, the beginning of our timeline, will be the energy wars force humankind into the stars to survive. The energy wars force humankind into the stars to survive. So that's where we're going to start. And then the final bookend is the day the last, and I'm going to leave it blank, and I want to have a little discussion here. I want to see if you all want to put Earthling or human on that. Okay. Because we may have humans that are not Earthlings, right? But in either case, that will be a very momentous event that happens, and those are the bookends for the history that we're going to tell. So the exodus of humankind from Earth, and then the day that the last, and are we going to say human or are we going to say Earthling?
I kind of like human because it leaves us more open to tell more of a story.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually thinking Earthling.
I was thinking Earthling as well.
Yeah,
Because there could be other human life elsewhere that can. I like that I like being free in that sense.
So originally I put Earthling. That was my original thought, but I think it would be. It's kind of interesting to kind of bring this up.
Yeah.
Well, I think that are we also suggesting that the energy wars on, I guess not Earth necessarily, right?
They are on Earth.
They are. So Earth
These are on
exists.
Earth. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's kind of important.
Mhm.
So the energy wars on Earth cause Earthlings.
Yes.
So our kind of story is
around
starts around our Earthlings
Earthlings.
there. Now, could our story end with someone else? That's the question you're sort of asking.
Right. Yep.
Could the story have events on Earth, or is Earth cleared out by this point?
So we're going to say that there could still be people on Earth.
Okay.
It is simply that humankind is forced into the stars to survive.
Okay.
That the longevity of the species requires leaving Earth, but not to say that there aren't still people on Earth.
The
That
last
could be,
Earthling
yeah.
dies. So the timeline then is much more narrow then if we're talking about
Yeah, it's just-
Earthlings.
It
So
doesn't
focusing
have
on
to be.
Earthlings.
It doesn't have to be.
Or it's-
Perhaps. I mean,
Hey,
maybe
you
it's.
don't know. We could
yeah.
be successful in colonizing around the universe.
So we're gonna go with Earthlings.
I'm just gonna say yes. For me.
Yeah.
I'm,
Do you like
I'm a
Earthlings?
yes on it.
Are we good
I'm
with
a
that?
hard yes on it.
It's the most
Earthlings?
flexible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the day the last
Flexible? It's
Earthling.
flexible. I think so.
I think
If you
it's
say
nice.
human, that's just one species, right? Earthling, depending on when this is, could be other species that happen
I
to still
had-
live on Earth.
I literally had not thought of that.
Oh, really?
At all.
Someone recall
Yeah. Okay.
That's a
hey.
good idea.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. yeah.
So
I
Earthlings
already
now
love this game.
Could be anyone.
doesn't have to
we
be
could
human.
possibly assume multiple species
Yeah.
of Earthlings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there
Earthling just assumes
are
they were
millions
born.
of Earthlings,
like
right?
that
Species of Earthlings.
idea
So
a lot.
okay. So our beginning is the energy wars have forced humankind into the stars to survive from Earth, and the day the last Earthling dies is the end of our timeline. Now keep in mind that some of these have implications. This is stating that at some point in time, Earthlings are all dead.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Now, here's where I kind of told you a little bit up ahead or before. Going forward, all of these periods and events that we put into play, we need to determine if they are a time of light or of dark. So if the tone of that period is of kind of uplifting greatness, perhaps, or something that's more dire or morose. So, which is the light and which is the dark?
My gut initially went with dark light, starting with dark, ending in light.
Okay, so the energy wars forcing humankind into the stars is a dark age. It is a dark period
Yeah,
in the universe.
because I'm thinking us the time of peril that's going to immediately impact all the people exiting Earth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It could be also.
I went with like a bell curve in my head, starting with dark, and then it gets light, and there's a critical mass of light and goodness, and then
So
just ends in
dark,
tragedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just
does it have to
Does it have to be
both?
So we
What
have
hap-
to have one of each.
Oh,
Okay.
One of them has to be light, one
Yeah.
of them has to be dark. It doesn't really matter which one is which, but if we have to come to a
Yeah.
consensus, and we do need one of each
That just changed the whole.
to kind of
Yeah.
show.
So throw like
Yeah.
something else in. So I was thinking like the energy wars forcing humankind into the stars would be a light theme
That's how I
because
see it.
they are they're trying to find hope. That's what they're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Hope and opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so sorry, go ahead, Tim. I'm
And
sorry.
then the last day Earthling dies is kind of like the end, basically the end of an era of Earthlings. They lost their fight for survival.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is, I envision this as almost like the college student moving away from home for the first time. You know, you're leaving home, but there's all this potential.
There's a lot to
Yeah,
explore.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So that's how I view it. So I view light also. for that.
Okay.
That's where the fight starts. This is how it ends, and it ends with them dying.
Yeah.
I'm open to either one. In my head, in my creative brain right now, my idea is it ending in dark, is starting in darkness, dark tone, and ending in light. But it being just because it's light doesn't mean that they like live, right? They could die, and that could be a good thing. That could be like set the sun setting, and they end their time, and it's like beautiful, and it's like.
That's true, because
They're,
humans are kind
you
of
know,
like...
Well, it's from our perspective looking at
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Everywhere we go.
I just had this idea of it being like a beautiful end for them.
Well, and also, I mean, like, we haven't had to live through any of it, but like, there's species of Earthlings that have died out before us. And
Yeah,
so,
we're still on that whole like
Yeah.
what
Like, what
Earthling or Earthling are we talking about
Yeah.
here?
so it doesn't necessarily have to be dark, which is where I'm still kind of leaning towards the dark light, but I think I like your guys' arguments.
Which was what?
The
And-
light in the beginning, because
For the hope.
there's hope and there's opportunity of yes, it might be scary and dangerous,
Yeah.
but there's opportunity.
I'm going to throw something else out there that's
Yeah.
going to
Oh,
bring up
sure.
even more questions. So it says it forces humankind into the stars. That doesn't mean it forces Earthlings into the stars.
Just
Correct.
humans.
So disclosure,
Yeah.
I wrote that under the assumption that
Yeah.
humankind would be the only ones capable
Okay.
of going
Okay.
into the stars.
Gotcha.
Not that they might not take some other species with them, but that humankind is the species that is driving the
Okay.
driving force behind it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So not.
Okay.
I like where your head is
Yeah,
at. Just
okay.
I just want to clarify that. Yeah.
I just saw like a little bit of like
Yeah.
the bell starts. The gears
I'm
start to
almost
spin.
imagining like humankind leaves Earth, right?
Yeah.
And leaves a fucking mess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some Earth-bound species. Pick one.
Something.
Chimpanzees.
That's the easy one. It's like, you know, I don't know why
Yeah,
I'm thinking like
like-
space,
like dolphins, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like space whales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. They like evolve, and like they leave Earth, but it's like they come across the humans from Earth in the future, in like the many millennia in the future. And it's
All right, so you're getting a little
And it's like-
ahead of where we're at.
okay,
right
but
now.
I'm just,
you gotta.
and then I'm like,
Yeah,
and
you gotta reel it in
they're
a little.
pissed off because
Yeah.
they're like, you left us a mess.
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
did we come to a consensus?
I mean, I could go either
Yeah,
way,
I
honestly.
think we're on
Yeah,
light.
like,
And that,
either
that
way.
was
Light and
intentional.
dark,
yeah.
I kind of told everybody up front that I had designed it for these things to be kind of serious to talk about, and also that they're both in the gray area. So,
In my mind, that one can only be dark.
okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
this has a much more romantic end for me as
Yeah.
light.
Okay.
But that's
Yeah,
just
that's
Yeah.
true. It depends on who the audience is for that. Like, is are we rooting for the Earthlings or everyone else?
And we don't know the events leading up to it
Yeah,
yet.
exactly.
Yeah.
right. I guess there's that.
So-
what's the journey?
Jordan just had
Yeah.
a really good
Yeah.
good comment. We don't know the events leading up to it. Now, part of the reason that we place the light tone and the dark tone here in the front is because we know where we're going. So it gives us an idea of how we're going to place those periods.
Direction.
Because eventually we have to get to the day the last Earthling dies.
In a
And
lighter tone.
is it light or is it dark? So the entire time we should be thinking about that and going into it. Is this light or dark? Is it a time of opportunity and growth and expansion,
Or
where
is it-
all of these amazing things are happening, or is it a struggle? So, yeah.
What an interesting.
I think we could spend the whole 45 minutes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really,
And I'm
it gets
actually
super meta too.
I'm
you know?
loving how this is going down already. I mean, you know, we've talked about what we wanted to do, but just introducing this first part, it is kind of a big deal, right? And it really sets the tone
Yeah.
for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And even in the book you're reading it, these two things, you could play another game, and whatever we decide, we swap them,
Yeah.
and that changes.
Give you like one solar system on. this
Yeah.
one way,
You know,
this
and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it changes what the timeline looks like
Yeah.
because of how you were trying to tell the story of that point A to point B.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Consensus.
But we do have to
We
decide.
do have to decide.
All right.
I feel like we should like Rochambeau.
I think
Because
that.
we kind of split.
See, this is where I'm at,
Who
though.
wants light on
If-
what? Who wants the light at the start?
My original thought was light at start.
Light start.
Yeah.
Your
That's-
light start.
If Dave
That's
can't
smart, yeah.
see a way for that to be a light, I am more inclined to go with his. Even
I'm the
though
only
my-
one I think that wants a dark light.
No, that was
Oh,
my
he does too.
first
Yeah,
thing.
this is too, yeah.
I just think that I could see that going either way, and I'm excited for the events either way. And if someone just feels so definitive to declare it, I'm good with it.
I'm okay with doing.
But I see what you're saying. Like,
Frankie's
It's
going to
very,
be playing
like,
this
it's
entire
very
game.
Thanos.
I was thinking of almost like a Hobbit type of story, there and back again, right? Maybe that occurs back on Earth, and maybe it's for some grand purpose, like completing a cycle. And I can see that kind of being light. So your point.
I'm in this very like it's very like Thanos almost like for me. Like he's like he went through this like
Yeah.
destroyed the universe, and then he ended up on that planet just farming, just in peace.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful, happy tone in for him, right?
For him, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's
Not for
that's
the
where I'm
other
at.
half of the life.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't wrong.
I wasn't wrong.
The older you get, the more you realize he wasn't the villain.
Hashtag Thanos
Yeah.
did nothing wrong.
I'm officially jump ship, Frankie.
Oh, all right.
Oh, boy.
So we have a solid majority at this point. So, all right. So we are going to make the energy wars
I
force
think I've just
humankind.
cemented my role in this group.
Humankind into the stars to survive. We are going to make the light tone, and then we are going to make the day the last Earthling dies as the dark one. Okay.
Okay.
So let's kind of color that in. Okay. And going forward, what we are going to be doing is introducing the periods, the events, and the scenes. Before we start really taking turns, though, everybody gets to put in a period. And that's what's going to start everything off. So my period is going to be, and I'm kind of prepared for this one. The Sophia, sorry, I apologize. That's the wrong one. The exploration of the Dar planets is the period.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to lead off with. So it's just going to go here in the middle. As anybody else starts introducing these periods, we're going to place them before or after the exploration of the Dar planets.
Okay. Is there a rotation of introducing periods?
Yes, so currently we're just going to go around.
Okay.
And then we're going to start the game with myself as the lens. So I'll kind of put out the first period and set the focus, which everybody will have to kind of work within.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then once we go around, everybody adds a period, an event, or a scene. Then the lens will go to you.
Okay.
And you get to determine the focus, and then you can put those periods and events out as well at your pace, and then it rotates through. So, cool.
It was no, I apologize. The exploration of Dar planets.
Mm-hmm. And I am going to make this a. I think I'm gonna make it a light. It's gonna be a light tone, a light period.
Okay.
We have no focus right now, so you can literally write anything you want, anything, as a period of time that takes place within this timeline, and the only confines that you have is that it either has to be between the bookends, or either side of the exploration of the Dar planets, between the bookends.
So I have an idea, but I might need some guidance on whether it's an event or a period, or how to guide you to get into a period.
Okay.
So I foresee some kind of ancient power of protection and energy. I don't know how to get that into the world.
Well,
Okay.
that sounds almost like
Like an event.
or no, I think it's
As a
chi-
time or
a period is a time.
period.
period.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like
Yeah.
a period, right?
Well,
period
so,
of protection.
so it
from
is, yeah.
nature.
So it would have to
Okay.
be of something. So
Okay.
what you're introducing is an entity.
Yeah.
So that is neither a period or an event.
Okay.
But you could introduce the period as this entity doing something over a period of time. So it might be an era of protection where this entity has control over
So then, if we
something.
say an entity, are we then like sort of creating that?
Yes, and that
And that
entity
becomes-
now
and that
becomes part of the universe.
So if there's a god
Sure.
protects.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
Or
So then that just means we have gods in our system, right? In our world. There. Interesting.
Oh, we did skip over something, and honestly, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Before we get into it, you were supposed to make a palette, kind of choosing some things that we want in and things that we don't want in at
Oh,
all.
yeah.
Before I even put this down, then why don't we can jump into it.
I don't know. I don't know if we need it. I think I kind of told all of you I reserve the right to veto anything because I'm the one that's going to have to run other games within this universe. But I think I think we're okay.
And I think we can, if we really need to, we can rely on the push mechanic or something
Yep,
to
and I think
talk through this.
what we're discussing, even with the first two, I think we can kind of have that sort of thing happen. If someone is really strongly against having it, then we can go over it. But yeah, I think we can just kind of skip through that.
So then with that, I can add my period.
You can, yeah.
Right, so Jojo's gonna add a period.
So you're gonna add a period. What is the name of the period?
Rise of the Velour.
Rise of the
Ooh.
Velour.
And I'm
Okay.
making it dark.
Okay.
And it's going to happen sometime after the exploration of the Dar.
Okay. All right. So we're just gonna put this over here in the timeline, and
Okay.
all right, the Rise of the Velour.
Okay.
Is
there
it
any other, like-
velour? Is it like with like one of those guys?
an accent.
Velour.
Is that, yeah, I think that's how I said it. I didn't put it initially, but I agree with the Velour.
Okay. All right. So Rise of the Velour will happen after the exploration of the Dark Planets. Okay. So again, I love how this game just implies things. So was it because of the exploration of the Dark Planets? Because you put it after, does it imply that the Rise of the Velour was because of the exploration? Did the exploration cause the Rise of the Velour? You know, so whereas beforehand,
How many periods are we allowed to? Are we just?
it is a fractal game, so we can theoretically go forever, and just all of the periods just kind of space out to fit every other period in.
nuts.
Yeah, it's
It's so macro
mhm.
and micro.
and micro at the same time. Yeah, yep,
Interesting.
yep.
I've got a period also.
Okay,
This is the emancipation of New Luna. It occurs before the exploration of Dar planets.
okay, and you made it
It is a dark
a dark tone.
Yes.
Okay, all right, the emancipation of New Luna. Okay.
It's just so.
I love it. Yeah,
I love it too. I love
So
it.
we've got potentially a planet or a satellite, right? We're
I'm imagining a satellite.
Okay, all right.
If
so
it's New Luna,
right?
New
So
Luna,
new
right.
moon. Okay, so we have we've now created a satellite named after the moon of Earth,
Yes.
implying that this is not the moon of Earth.
Yeah.
Yep, and that emancipation did not go nicely.
Yes.
Many people did not benefit from that emancipation. So very cool.
So I think I have one. To give you some periods like make it like an era or call it an era, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So that would be an event.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
All right. I'm watching Frankie. He's like really darkening it in with his pen too.
So when you do an event, does it have to have a light and a dark event too?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And the other thing is, so we've been adding.
I feel like I need to like hide my
don't have
stuff,
to.
but I know. Like,
We're all gonna see it eventually.
Yeah.
It's gonna be somewhere. Which place? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking, because it kind of has to be kind of specific, right? With
A little bit specific,
bit,
but it needs to be broad enough that it covers an unspecified period of time.
yeah. Okay.
Right? An event is generally going to be short and only recognizable to somebody that's part of that period.
Yeah.
But a period would be recognizable to somebody outside, but they probably don't know any details. It's just a very large concept.
Got it.
Wouldn't Emancipation of New Luna also be an event?
So
I'm just
him using it as a period means that this emancipation took place over quite a period of time.
Right.
Yeah. So there's
Okay.
again another implication there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yours is just very abrupt. So yeah. But that again, the implication of where he placed it is important. And instead of making it an event within something else here, he just as easily could have made the Emancipation of New Luna an event within the rise of the Valor. That would have been an event, shorter, but yeah, this is a much longer term process that they're going through. Probably fraught with all kinds of bureaucratic tape, perhaps war. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I have a period. So I want to name it the era of Andros the Protector.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost too macro for me.
What do you got, Frankie?
That's not a period. That's not even a.
So it's too vague, a little too vague. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do.
Well, I mean, you could use dynasty.
Make it dark.
So where in the timeline is that? Good thing we got lots of note cards.
Originally, I was gonna put it like towards the beginning, because like, I kind of first thought to be like an ancient power, like from like very very far in the beginning of our story.
Okay.
But seeing the rise of valor, kind of like makes me want to put it before that one
Mm-hmm.
to create like a do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
So I'll put it right here.
All right. So we're gonna go in there. Push these
I
around.
almost
space
feel
them
like
out.
there's like I'm gonna put in the Andromeda Dynasty.
Okay.
I'll put that after New Luna.
After New Luna.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna put
So,
it here, and it is light.
Yeah.
This is a time of lightness. So.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a period.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Just looking at like we have Valor, New Luna, Andromeda. There seems to be this like hierarchy, like what's the word I'm looking for? Matriarchal kind of the process being created or something like that. In which case, it sounds cool for our future RPGs like Teens of Space, like that.
Yeah.
Coming across these groups could be interesting.
Did you say initially the bell curve? By the way,
Yeah.
it's formed that.
You see what we have here?
Yeah.
So we have light, dark, light, in the middle, and then
Yeah.
dark. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a genius.
Yeah.
So the
All right,
We,
so then
just,
can
we
I?
learned what to give you what you wanted.
it's like shut this guy up.
It's easier to do it that way. So can you so we're gonna continue to put the periods, but then can somebody put down
So
an event?
at this point, we've seeded the board.
Yeah.
Right. So we
Oh.
have our timeline, and now I am going to take over for this round as the lens.
Okay.
And so I'm going to kind of lead this round, and by that I mean that I'm going to identify a focus. So we all have to do something this round that applies to that focus.
Okay.
and then we'll go around, and then after that round we'll pass it off, and so that way everybody gets a chance to be the focus. The benefit of being the focus, the amount of power that the focus has, is that you set the focus. The lens. The power that the lens has is you get to set the focus of the round, and then you have the ability to create two things. So either a period with an event in it, or an event with a scene within it. They have to be nested, so they have to be related. So it gives you a lot more power to drive the story in the direction that you really want to. So I am, honestly, the Emancipation of New Luna, I am very interested about that. So I think my focus, I want to focus on the Emancipation of New Luna. I want to mention now that does not mean that everything here are periods right and left of it or events within it. There could be something from this Emancipation of New Luna that affects the rise of the Valor.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah. So there could be something. It just, you have to make sure that it relates to the Emancipation of New Luna if you want to put it somewhere else, if it's not specifically within that period.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of keep that in mind. There are things that are continuously kind of moving throughout the universe, and they can impact each other. So I want to focus on the Emancipation of New Luna. I love it. And I am going to. I feel like I want to add an event to it, and just the event. I don't want to do a scene right now. I want to add the event when Lunans become their own species. Like, they've evolved so far from the original Lunans that escaped Earth, and that they have now like deviated enough from evolution to be their own species.
We're so in the same wavelength.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing to do is going to be the lens, which is myself, to replace a period and a nested event, or an event and a nested scene. And but it has to stick within the focus that I've already laid out. So with the Emancipation of New Luna, I'm going to add the event classification of Lunan as a new species. And this is going to be basically the break from human. And Lunans will become their own species. They have determined that Lunans now have enough genetic diversity to not be considered human in the same way that they used to. And I want to do a scene within this that answers the question, who was fighting for the reclassification of Lunans to a new species? And I kind of already come up, we've talked about this a little bit earlier. David Frankie, you're going to handle this one. One of you is going to play Colt, the Lunan, and the other one is going to play Delilah, the human.
Just imagine her like this big Southern belle, yellow dress, you know.
And
Still style.
this is gonna be a conversation between the two of you, discussing, kind of clarifying perhaps who is benefiting the most. Actually, I guess that should be the question that's being answered. Who's benefiting the most from this reclassification? And I think that we want to say that Colt may have been a servant at some point to Delilah.
Or maybe currently.
Or perhaps currently, until this very moment. And
This is like a kind of like a, not, I wouldn't say climactic moment, but it's a pivotal moment, right?
yes, very pivotal
Where
moment.
it's like,
In their relationship.
it's like
Right.
in there, yes.
So you had
What-
you had a previous relationship, and now that there's a reclassification, and the changes that go along with the Emancipation of New Luna, then that's what we're going to kind of
And that
discover.
repercussions has significant cultural ramifications, right?
That,
what
and
we're
that's
saying.
that's
like
kind of
the-
what we're hoping to find out with this little discussion here. So I'm going to let the two of you kind of take it away and go for it.
Okay. You might hear gunfire in the background, maybe some explosions off in the distance.
Okay. Well, I imagine Delilah is out. Like, even though there's those, she's very oblivious, let's say, and so there's these explosions going on, but she's like pruning her roses out front. Okay. Colt, can you give me some of that Lunanade? That Lunanade. Oh, it's so tasty.
Delilah, it is time for you to go.
Well, I just got back, silly. What do you mean go? I can't go anywhere.
You don't have much time. You need to evacuate.
Evacuate? What? Okay, Colt, have you been reading those the Luna tabloids again?
Delilah, the time is now.
Around you, you can see that the houses in this neighborhood are starting to empty. The families are exiting. They're pulling suitcases and things. They're getting into cars and I don't know, like hovercraft. Yeah, let's go with hovercraft.
Yes.
Delilah,
They exist now.
I have nothing against you personally. I don't want to see any harm come to you. I'll help you get to the evacuation
Colt.
location if you want.
No harm come to me. You know our relationship goes much deeper than that. I mean, come on, Cole. I mean, what are you talking about? I don't get it.
The time of humans on New Luna is over. It's time for you to move on.
Where am I supposed to go?
I don't know, but you can't stay here.
Well, can you pack my bags at least, or will you expect me to do that by myself?
It's time for humans to do things on their own from now on.
Look, I just don't know what to say.
We could say goodbye. Peacefully.
Dang.
I feel like I reach out for Colt's hands right now.
Cole puts his hand on yours. Yes, his cold, metallic.
Wait, is he robotic?
He's sort of like, I'm guessing,
He just has really bad circulation,
maybe
maybe?
kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, I
Hybrid?
picture Lunans as a hybrid that have probably added synthetic body parts to enhance them,
Sure.
leading to the divide in the species essentially. So they're still humanoid, and they definitely used to be human at some point, but now they have divided. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Colt, I'll miss you.
It's been an interesting journey.
Wow, just Colt's.
Yes. I couldn't forget our time together, even if I wanted to.
Sounds like he's throwing shade.
Wow.
Subtle shade.
Well, all right. Well, I guess I'll go pack my things and get in my my Audi hover vehicle, and I guess this is the end.
It is the end, but I wish you luck.
All right.
Okay.
See you.
See you.
Good. Yeah. So I think we kind of determined that the Lunans were the driving force behind this classification in order to establish themselves as the dominant species of the planet, and to push out any humans there and force them to recolonize somewhere else. So okay, cool.
By the way, Audi's still a manufacturing vehicle. I mean, they still have them and Tesla. That's
Those are the only two.
those are the only two.
Everyone, yeah. I think that's where we're gonna leave it for now.
Okay.
And
I kept thinking like.
you can't.
I was trying to, like,
you gotta stop.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
you gotta stop. We can't have any further collaboration or sharing of other ideas outside of what's going on in the game, because you're gonna like warp it for everybody else.
All right, stop yelling at me.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to most likely have another episode of this coming up soon, so make sure that you subscribe to the Tabletop Takeovers YouTube and turn those notifications on so you can follow along and see how this universe expands as we continue playing Microscope. Thank you so much, players, for joining me. And
fun.
it was fun. Yeah, I'm loving how this is going already. And as always, grab some friends.
Play some games.
We'll see you next time. Thanks. Hey.
We left the camera on.
Yeah. Why are you still here?
Are people still watching us right now?
I'm not sure.
Are they?
If
Well,
so, just
Mom?
just like, follow, and subscribe.
Hit that little button down there.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Catch us next time.
Yeah, we're gonna go home. We're a little tired.
Yeah.
Let's go, guys. Play some time.
I'm never playing with you again.
Can we get some help, Tim?
I am helping.